College football recap week 10 here on the Unafraid Show. And you do not want to miss this show. It is going to be explosive because there are going to be some hard truths about some teams that the logos say are really good and that the AP poll and everybody else in the media is going to be trying to tell you should be in the college football playoff. But I'm here to give you the truth and the facts about it. Now, the question is Ohio State or Tennessee the second best team in the country? And notice there's not a name that I did not mention. Oregon, they look untouchable right now. Miami and Georgia are fighting for survival. And of course, we got the creeps list, the teams that are creeping into the college football playoff conversation and might actually make it. So that and so much more on the Week 10 recap. Make sure that you like, subscribe, tell a friend about the show, and most importantly, share. Let's get to it. This is the new normal season in college football. And what that means for you people who just showed up here is that the way that you cannot just roll your helmets out on the field and win, you got to show up and play every single week, no matter whether you're playing Vanderbilt, you're playing Arizona, you're playing New Mexico State, you're playing Vanderbilt, whoever it is, you better show up with your game. Otherwise, you will get beat or be in a dog fight. And the college football playoff rankings are coming out this week. And you're seeing a lot of underperforming logos, a bunch of logos that are going to get the benefit of the doubt. And people in the media are going to be trying to tell you, oh, this team would beat this team. It's no question. They're going to be telling you things, and you're going to hear things over the next week. Like Alabama would for sure beat Boise State or BYU. Are you kidding me? This is Alabama we're talking about. Are you sure? We're talking about the same team that lost to Vanderbilt, right? And the same team that had trouble in other games. And we're supposed to believe that they're just going to wipe the floor with BYU? Absolutely not. Oh, Georgia, they'll for sure beat SMU. What are we talking about? How is this a debate? Now, if Florida and their true freshman quarterback don't get hurt, they might win that football game against Georgia. And it still went down to the wire with a walk-on. So why can't SMU and that high-powered Rhett Lashley offense, why can't they win? Oh, well, Clemson and Texas. Come on. See, this is different. Stop with all this Indiana talk. They both would beat Indiana. Are we sure? Because neither one of those teams has beat anybody good that we have looked at and have beat other good teams. Nobody. Not Texas, not Clemson. So how are we going to say that an undefeated Indiana team who's been knocking the doors off of everybody is some kind of way unworthy and unfit to be in the college football playoff discussion in front of either one of them teams? Because life comes at you fast in this new normal season. It's coming at everybody fast. Think about Arizona. They finished 11th in the nation last year, 11th in the nation, and they're 3-6 right now. That's got to be a gut punch. Noah Fafita and T-Mac, if they had went to UW, they would have way more success. I'm not mad at them for staying and sticking it out, but that's just the reality. Life has come at USC fast, who's now 4-5. Yes, a losing record and damn near down at the very bottom of the Big Ten standings. Florida State, 1-6. They just lost to North Carolina. Alabama got losses already. Houston just beat Kansas State. Come on, it's just the reality of what's going on. And yes, the playoff picture is going to get way more clear after next week when we get Georgia versus Ole Miss, LSU, Alabama, Michigan, Indiana, Colorado versus Texas Tech, Washington versus Penn State, and BYU versus Utah. I'm telling you right now, we will see somebody upset next week. 100%. One of them games is going to end up in an upset. And I'm not talking about LSU Bama because that's obviously two teams that are ranked super close to each other. But in one of them other games, we will see an upset. You might as well book it. But now we are going to start, as we do every single week, with the 5 best teams of Week 10 in college football. The 5 best teams. And this is not the number 1 through 5 team in the country. These are the 5 best performing teams of the week. And number 1 just so happens to be the number 1 team in the country, the Oregon Ducks. And their 38-17 win over Michigan in the Big House. It was, I guess, their first best road game that they've had over the course of the season. They went into an environment of over 100,000 people and absolutely dominated. Absolutely dominated. They took a little damage with Taz Walker. Um, they took a little damage with Taz, one of their star wide receivers, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But that's just the reality. Number 2, South Carolina, 44-20. Their win over Texas A&M, and their quarterback, Lenore Sellers, he is continuing to improve. Raheem Sanders, their running back, did a great job. And South Carolina came to get a big ranked win. And anybody that was calling for Shane Beamer's job, you got to settle down. Number 3, Tennessee. Good win over Kentucky, 28-18. And it's not even the point there. It's the fact that they got their young quarterback, Nico Iamaleava. He is playing good football now, and this makes Tennessee a real threat. A real threat. Number 4, SMU. Now, SMU, 48-25 win over Pittsburgh. Huge win because Pitt was undefeated, and now this puts SMU right back in the Big 12 championship game and a real shot to make the college football playoff. Number 5, Minnesota. What? Am I going to have to apologize to PJ Fleck, who now has his team 6-3? I have complained about their offense, but there have been times where they've put up points, and this 25-17 win over Illinois, it has been good. They got the quarterback, Max Brosmer, doing good work. Good job, PJ Fleck. And now on to the 5 worst teams of Week 10 in college football. The 5 worst teams of college football in Week 10, not the bottom of the world, but the teams that had the worst performance. Number 1, it was Penn State. 13-20, 20-13 with Ohio State. Offense was just abysmal. We'll get to that in a little bit, but this game was absolutely on James Franklin and his coaching, and another disappointment. I believe the dude's a good coach, but something's got to change. Absolutely. Number 2, Iowa State. What? You were 14-point favorites and got walked and got beat up. What are we doing here, Iowa State? This was not good. Not even a little bit. It is rare that we have a team who won on the worst teams of the week, and that is the Georgia Bulldogs. They had trouble with Florida. Now, I do think good things about Billy Napier, but the reality is, if Georgia is supposed to be the number 2 team in the country, with a true freshman at quarterback for Florida, true freshman at running back, they got backups all over the place. How did you not run away from them in this game? Carson Beck thrown another 3 interceptions. That's 11 over the last 5 games. Georgia has a problem, and everybody's going to try to wash it away because they beat Texas. No, absolutely not. Texas A&M is number 4. They had everything in their hands. A cakewalk to the SEC championship. Yes, they had some tough games left, but the reality is you have to win these games. And yes, they're probably ahead of schedule in year 1 with Mike Elko, but as you win, expectations grow, and sometimes they get unrealistic and lands you on the worst list. And number 5, Kansas State. Everything was set up for the Big 12 championship for you, and now you went and flushed it down the toilet. And yeah, that was not a good game this weekend, and horrible loss. It's not going to go over well. And the reality is that Kansas State, with their young quarterback, Avery Johnson, this was a game that they would have expected to win against Houston, but a 24-19 loss, that ain't going to be it. But now we got to get into the game that everybody was looking forward to this weekend. Everybody was looking forward to the Ohio State-Penn State game in Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley. And you guys make sure that you guys like, subscribe, tell a friend about the Unafraid Show. I'm going to give you a second. Leave a comment on the side of the chat, leave it at the bottom. Thumbs up, share it with somebody right now who loves college football like you love college football. Share it with somebody because this is the best damn college football podcast that there is around. All right. So about this game, this 20-13 win about Ohio State. Here are some hard truths from this game. There are people who are not going to want to hear it, but the reality is this. James Franklin is a very good football coach, but he has to figure his offense out because we have watched 8 years of underwhelming offense in big games. You've had multiple offensive coordinators. This is not going to cut it for Penn State fans. And for a very good coach to not get one side of the ball figured out is a problem. So James Franklin, I know you hired a new offensive coordinator, and people are going to sit up there and try to say it's been good all year. No, it has not. No, it has not. You're not pushing the ball downfield in the pass game. Your running game, you're basically running some hybrid triple option thing. This ain't it. This is not it. This is not going to win you football games when it matters the most. You are going to out-talent a lot of the other teams in the Big Ten, but when it comes down to it, you are not going to be able to beat the Oregons, the Ohio States, and when the Michigans are good. It's just the reality. Now, this Penn State defense will be consistently good. They are tough, and then they get let down by the offense, and it's got to be frustrating for fans. It's frustrating for me. I'm not even a Penn State fan. As a college football fan, I'm like, this anemic offense? Are there no threats downfield? Because they scored 13 points, but 7 of them were by the were by the defense. They only scored 6 points offensively. That is not going to cut it. That was 2 field goals. They had an interception that toward the end of the half. That was a bad luck play. But then when they were down inside the 5-yard line, after Ty Warren got them down there, their superstar tight end, got them down there, nothing materialized out. They probably ran a set of the 4 worst plays that I've ever seen coordinated at the same time. And yes, good coordinators have bad moments, but this was atrociously bad. It was. And now here is a hard truth about Ohio State. There's a lot of people that were praising this Ohio State offense. They're like, oh my God, masterful game by Chip Kelly. It was great. It was dominant. No, it wasn't. Did you watch the game? Their offense was okay. Is Penn State's defense good? Yes. But the reality is Ohio State scored. 2 of the plays that they scored on were like trick 'em kind of plays. They ran one where I think it was Egbuka ran across and then ran up the field on like a misdirection play. Like that wasn't just them just driving down scoring. And then they did it again later on in the game. So we're not getting ready to sit up here and act like Ohio State's offense was just a juggernaut. Will Howard finished 16 for 24, 2 touchdowns and an interception. It was cool. And yes, Judkins and Henderson finished with, they finished rushing. The whole Ohio State team finished rushing, 40 carries, 176 yards. Damn near all of it was by Judkins and Henderson, right? And yes, that was a good job by the Ohio State offense. But people were praising them after like we just saw some magical offensive explosion. They scored 20 points on a team that couldn't move the ball on offense. That was just stuck in neutral all game. Like Ohio State's not clicking on all cylinders offensively. And I'm going to tell you this Indiana game with Ohio State, it is going to be a problem. 100% going to be a problem. And I know that people are like, oh, ain't no way. And that Michigan game might be a problem too. Just letting you know. Because Ohio State still has left Purdue, Northwestern, Indiana, and Michigan. That's a tough row to hoe right there. Tough row to hoe right there. So we're not getting ready to act like that there's nothing there. Mm, just saying. And Penn State still has Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland. That Washington game ain't exactly, even though it's in Happy Valley, it ain't gonna be no layup. That Minnesota game could be tough too. They should beat Purdue and Maryland pretty handily. But that Washington and Minnesota game are not going to be cakewalks with the way this offense is performing because Washington's pass defense is, if not the best in the country, one of the best in the country. Minnesota's defense is tough. Come on, man. Things are a lot tougher out in the college football world. Next game up, Oregon versus Michigan. All right. This Oregon team is the first team to defeat Michigan and Ohio State in the same season since 2015. We're talking 10 years now. So that is a big deal. So Oregon has gone into the Big Ten, knocked out the defending champs, even though that this team does not look anything like it did last year. They've knocked out Ohio State. And Oregon's defense only gave up 270 total yards. They were excellent in the first half. And if you're going to nitpick and try to find anything wrong with this Ducks team, their third quarters have been not very good. They have not scored very many points on the season. Yeah, that's not it. And the Oregon Ducks have lost Tez Johnson, their superstar All-American wide receiver, for at least some portion of time. Because he went out of the game, what was it, first drive, fell, he caught a ball, got slammed down out of bounds, came back out with a sling, and that was it. That was the last time we saw him, and he posted a heartbreak on his social media. So we don't know what that means. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but that the way it is looks like he's going to be out for some point in time. But this Oregon Ducks team, there are times where people get ranked number one because they earned it, right? And success is actually harder to deal with than failure for a lot of people, and for most people in general. Because when you're chasing somebody else that's number one, you always got somebody in front of you and you see how far away they are, and you're like, we got to catch them. 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 But then what happens when you catch them and pass them? A lot of times people don't know how fast that they need to run to keep their lead or to grow their lead. Because if you go sprinting, you're going to get tired, right? So it's a matter of pacing yourself, but still at the same time pushing forward, getting better, continuing to build so you're peaking at the right time. And that's the thing that you see with this Oregon team. They appear to be getting better and better. And this game, this 38-17 game, was actually not quite as close as it looked. But I will give Michigan some credit. They have picked who their quarterback is going to be for the most part, which is Davis Warren. And they put Alex Orji in a few times. I do not understand this Alex Orji stuff. This is essentially Wildcat football. It's Wildcat. Like there is no, like there's nothing else to it. He is going to come in the game and he's going to run the football. That's it. And they tried to trick Oregon with a couple passes. Oregon was like, absolutely not. We're going to play one-on-one coverage, and and they essentially play it like it's Wildcat. There's no respect. So Michigan needs to dump this Alex Orji project and continue with Davis Warren because the kid's getting better. He was 21. He was 12 for 21 for 164 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, granted, that first touchdown that he threw on third down, actually, first I want to give the kid credit because he's got the stones to make throws. And he's not just coming out there because he's a former walk-on and he got benched earlier in the season. He didn't come out there playing scared. I got to give him all the credit in the world for that because a lot of people would be highly conservative in those roles. And he made 2 touchdown passes. He threaded the needle. Now, the first one, I do not believe that he was throwing to the guy that caught it. I think he was throwing it to the guy behind him. And the second one, he walked through the raindrops with that pass. But still, it was still highly impressive. Highly impressive. So big ups to Davis Warren. Now, on the other hand, on the rushing game front, Oregon gave up 2 big runs in the game. They gave up an 18-yard run to Donovan Edwards, and they gave up a 26-yard run to Alex Orji. But for the most part, outside of that, it was lockdown city in the run game. Like, there were no big, huge gashes. There like, Michigan figured out they literally couldn't run the ball. If Michigan could have run the ball 3 straight times and get first downs, they would have, and they couldn't. But the kid Colston Loveland, he finished with 7 catches for 112 yards of that 165 they threw for. That kid can ball. That is an absolute NFL stud tight end, and I love watching him play. He gets it. He sticks his nose in the run game, blocks well. He is a receiving threat. He runs hard with the ball. Love watching that kid play. Highly, highly impressive. Now, on the Oregon side, it's funny in the run game, right? Because they finished with 37 carries, 176 yards, and 4 touchdowns on the ground, including the one for Dillon Gabriel to go along with his 294 passing yards and a touchdown. This Oregon run game is starting to click, and they were able to run the ball to finish the game, which is highly impressive because finishing the game with the ball in your hands is always big. Always big. Yes, and I know that they still had to kick it off, but that's because they went down and scored a touchdown. But the game was seconds left. But when you can finish the game with the ball in your hands, that's when you know that you are dominating a game when it matters the most. Now, going forward, this Oregon team, when you look at the rest of their schedule, this week upcoming, they have Maryland in Eugene, and then they got to visit Wisconsin on November 16th. Not sure how the weather is going to be, but Wisconsin is now 5-4 with losses to Alabama, USC. Well, blowout losses to Alabama, blowout loss to USC, blowout loss to Iowa, and then a curiously close loss. I mean, even though it was two scores, but not even close to the other. Curiously close loss to Penn State. Wonder why. That Penn State offense, only 28 points. But anyways, though, and then they have a bye week, and then they play UW. So for Oregon, if they're able to navigate through the rest of these last 3 games, get to the Big Ten championship, win the Big Ten championship, then they're going to get a bye week coming up to they'll get the week off, and then they'll get the bye week going into the college football playoff. So that'll give Tez Johnson at least 6 weeks, potentially 7 weeks to get healthy for a playoff game. And then if Oregon can win their first playoff game, now we're looking at 8, 9, 10 weeks potentially before a semifinal national championship game. So there could be a situation where he could be back. And he's one of the most explosive slot players in the country. So time can be on your side if you can earn that time. All right, next game up that is going to impact the college football playoff. And here are some hard truths in this game too. And we're going to talk about that South Carolina Texas A&M game. Now, Texas A&M had earned a lot of trust after last week's win over LSU. But this 44-20 loss was highly concerning. Highly concerning. Now, yes, it is year 1 for Mike Elko. Year 1. And kudos to him for actually picking a quarterback. Instead of going back and forth between Connor Weigman and Marcel Reed, he picked one. He picked Marcel Reed, who helped them come back against on LSU. And the kid didn't have a bad game. 18 for 28, 206 yards. But the issue is that Texas A&M could not run the football 41 for 145 and a touchdown. Now, is that bad running the game? No, but that's only 3.5 yards a carry. And 3.5 yards per carry is not going to cut it when you are not a team that can throw the football at a very high level. And when you look at this Texas A&M team, yes, they only have one SEC loss. They are still in position. Like they are still. If the conference championship game was today, it would be them versus Georgia. However, they still got to navigate New Mexico State, at Auburn, and then versus Texas. And people think that Texas game is going to be a layup. No, it's not. I'm talking about they think it's going to be a layup for Texas. Absolutely not. That is going to be a barn burner because that is going to be likely for all the marbles for both of those teams. All of them. Whether you make the SEC championship or maybe not even make the college football playoff can be determined by that football game. And I want to talk about the South Carolina team for a second because the future is absolutely bright. And if they can retain their roster this offseason, and I know that South Carolina fans, here's a hard truth for South Carolina fans. I'm sorry, hate to be the bearer of bad news, but when you get something good, people are going to want to take it. They are going to want to steal it. They're going to want your players. They're going to want everything. And the thing that they're going to want, there are going to be some people who want Lenora Sellers at quarterback. There are going to be some quarterback gurus that are like, hey, yo, I know you're having some success over there, but look at how many NFL quarterbacks that we put in the league as first round picks. Come on, holla at your boy. And and we got a bunch of millions for you. Yeah, come on down. And there's all-star freshman defensive end Dylan Stewart. People are going to be after that young man as well. Now, if South Carolina can hold this roster together, they are going to be, this is going to be a really good situation for them because their future is bright. Shine bright like a diamond. That's how bright that their future is. And they got a shot, man. They got a real shot. Shane Beamer's doing a good job, and they might actually be able to steal USC from USC because these programs look like they go in different directions. And remember, I'm the same guy. Actually, I'll talk about the Lincoln Riley thing in just a little bit, but yeah, because we don't really talk about the teams that don't really matter as much right now. But there's some stuff going on at USC, which is quite interesting. All right, but the bad news, though, for Texas A&M is that they gave up 520 yards of total offense and only got 350. Oh my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Now, South Carolina, they need to finish the season off well. They're 5-3 right now. They got Vandy, Missouri, Wofford, and Clemson. They're 5-3 right now. They need to win 3 of those football games. They do. They're going to beat Wofford. They got to beat Missouri, and they got to beat either Vanderbilt or Clemson. Those are key wins for South Carolina. It is crucial that Shane Beamer, because then he'll be able to keep selling those players. Lenora Sellers, Dylan Stewart, the recruiting class. We're building things here, and we are going to be able to contend for the SEC. That's what you want to be able to sell. Now on to one of the most controversial teams in all of college football. That is the Duke Blue Devils. I'm joking. It's the team that they played, the Miami Hurricanes. One of the most controversial teams in all of college football because people are watching this Miami Hurricanes team, including me, and saying, what are they doing? What are they doing? A 53-31 game against Duke, and Duke's offense is not one of them offenses that is going to keep you up at night. But in 4 out of their last 5 games, this Miami defense has given up 34, 38, 45, and then 31. And that's to Virginia Tech, Cal, Louisville, and Duke. This Miami defense is going to absolutely carry Cam Ward to the Heisman Trophy. Let me repeat that. This Miami defense is going to carry Cam Ward to the Heisman Trophy. at least to the ceremony, because he finished this game 25 for 42, 400 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Why do we need all of that, fam? Why do we need all? Because their defense can barely stop a nosebleed. This 53 points. I just want to make sure that everybody is clear about what happened, because by no means was this game just a blowout. Not even a little bit. This game was highly contested and highly close, even in the fourth quarter. I just want to make sure I am giving you the perfect information. So it was in the fourth quarter, with 10 minutes to go in the game. It was 9:57. It was a 8-point game. It was an 8-point game. It didn't become a 2-score game until 7 minutes and 37 seconds and 34 seconds left in the fourth quarter. That's when it became a 2-score game. It was back and forth. And at points, Duke actually looked like that they may win this football game because they had the lead. So we're not getting ready to sit here and act like everything is great in Miami. It's not. But the good news is I am not going to sit here and let folks lie to you. Now, do I believe that this rabbit foot that Miami is playing with is going to wear off, and that Cam Ward, who threw another ridiculous interception just like he did in that Cal game, as part of the full Cam Ward experience, are they going to be able to keep that up against elite teams? No. That's not going to work. But Cam Ward is that guy. I told you, he will play great, do something insanely stupid, and then come back and win you the football game. But when you play against elite teams, it is going to be much tougher to do that. And this team is going to breeze to the ACC championship. They got Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse left. But this Miami defense scares the hell out of me. But how are we going to down this Miami team and be like, oh, poo-poo this Miami team, when Georgia's out here struggling with Florida, when Alabama's got multiple losses, when Clemson is out here getting beat by Louisville? How are we supposed to down Miami and act like Miami? Oh, this Miami, see, it's different. They're not really a top 5 team. If you put them in the SEC, oh, what are they gonna do? Huh? Really? So you don't think that they would do better than 41-31 against Mississippi State like Georgia? Hmm. This Georgia Florida game, which was much closer than it needed to be. Just saying. That's the reality, folks. Is that they are going to sit here, the media is going to sit here and try to tell you that this Miami team should not be given the same grace as everybody else. And I'm here to tell you, don't pay no attention to it. Those are lies, fam. Those are absolute lies. They will spread propaganda about the ACC, but the reality is, guess who has a winning record against the SEC for the last 2 years? The ACC. So don't sit here and try to tell me that, because we don't have a dominant team in college football right now. Now let's go to this Louisville Clemson game. 33-21. Louisville dominated this football game. And this game made me laugh because I was having a Twitter conversation with BFW, Brandon Walker, college football guy, about this Clemson team. I was like, Clemson hadn't played anybody good. I don't care. I know what I see. I'm like, okay, think about how many teams that we have seen this season beat up on inferior competition. And mind you, I put Cade Klubnik a couple weeks ago into the Heisman conversation. And then I was like, I don't know about this. I went and watched a couple of their games back. And I said, are we sure? That 48-31 game against Virginia don't look so hot right now. that that 29-13 Florida State game, that it's not sitting right in my spirit. And then you look at some of the plays and you're like, yes, they're running away with it, but it this ain't just the level of domination that I would have expected against teams with losing records and 500 records. They've been blowing out bad competition. And how many times have we seen that this season when people play blow out bad competition and people get all hyped up about them? And then all of a sudden you figure out, oh, damn, it ain't like that. All right. And Cade Klubnik, 33 for 56, 228 and a touchdown. Tyler Shuck, 17 for 32 and 156. And then Clemson allowed 210 yards on the ground on 27 carries. What's that, like 7.5, 8 yards a carry? And most of it was by Isaac Brown. Clemson got manhandled in this game. They got stopped on fourth down multiple times. This wasn't it. And this was the team that people are still going to be trying to shoehorn into the college football playoff and try to put them in front of Indiana, try to put them in front of, like, if BYU lost the game or anything like that. Do not let the logos win. Let the play on the field show you. And Clemson still has Virginia Tech, Pitt, Citadel, and I think South Carolina left. So, listen, they ain't got no easy route out. But I want to talk about Dabo Swinney for a second because people have been talking about he lost it and this and that. I believe that this season is going to be transformational for Dabo Swinney, either one way or the other. Either he's going to get on board with the transfer portal or Dabo Swinney is going to bow out of Clemson. One of those two things is going to happen this offseason. You can book it. And now on to the Heisman top 5 for this week. Now, a couple of these guys were not in action. And I still got Ashton Jeanty as the number 1 pick. 31 carries for 149 and 2 touchdowns. He's not on historic pace anymore right now, but we all know it only takes one big game. And Boise State finally leaned into stat padding because he wasn't even close to 100 yards in this game, and they should have been stat padding against Utah State. Give the dude more of a buffer and a cushion. And then you got Cam Ward at number 2, 25 for 42, 400 yards, 5 touchdowns. And this Miami defense is going to give him every opportunity to Jaden Daniels and oh my goodness, and the previous Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 overall pick from USC, do that as well. Where they were able to stat pad and all of that, and Cam Ward's getting that opportunity. So we got Dillon Gabriel, 22 for 294 and a touchdown in their game against Michigan, added a rushing touchdown as well. He's in this conversation. And then number 4 and 5, we got Shedeur Sanders and John Mateer. They were both off this week with Washington State and Colorado, but they deserve that sort of credit and attention too. All right, now on to the next game. Hard truth about the Georgia Bulldogs, because this 34-20 win over Florida, nothing about this was a 14-point game. Georgia ran off at the very end of the very end of this game. If DJ Lagway does not get hurt, Florida quarterback, true freshman quarterback does not get hurt, Georgia probably loses this football game because Carson Beck, 11 interceptions in the last 5 games. He does not look like he's playing with any level of confidence. I'm going to tell you, there was a point in the game where he looked like he wasn't playing with no confidence, and this is a sign with quarterbacks. When quarterbacks come off the field and they leave their helmet on and they just sit there and the weather's not bad, because you're hiding in that helmet. You don't want to see nobody. He had already thrown three picks. People are like, Carson, what the hell's going on, fam? And those are legitimate questions because people fashion him as a first-round pick in the NFL. Don't look like that right now, fam. It doesn't. And this Georgia team, hard truth, is vulnerable. They are vulnerable in every single way. There is nothing about this Georgia team that you can look at and just feel good about right now. How How can you? 41-31 against Mississippi State. 34-20 against Florida with a walk-on quarterback and a true freshman running back and backups everywhere on this team. Everybody wants Georgia to be so great because they beat Clemson, who just lost to Louisville. They got manhandled by them, and because they dominated Texas. Well, even in that Texas game, Carson Beck was throwing the ball all over the place. So why could Florida run the ball all over Georgia? And so that means that there's something up because they ran the ball for 146 yards and a touchdown against them. And if you take away the quarterback plays that they called runs, man, they averaged almost 5 yards a carry. And Kirby Smart knows that there's something that is not quite right. That's why he reacted the way he did to his star running back, Nate Frazier, doing the Gator chomp after he scored a touchdown. He chewed that boy ass out because he knows things are not buttoned up right now. He went in the press conference. Listen, we are a meat and potatoes football team. We are meat and potatoes. We don't do that kind of stuff. Yes, because he knows this ain't 2021. This ain't 2022 where your defense is historic in that run. That ain't it. Your offensive line is not as good as it has been. Your quarterback is turning the ball over at a high rate. He knows they are vulnerable in every single way, and that's why he reacted like that. But now we got to get to the college football creeps, right? These are the teams that are creeping up in potential to make the college football playoff, and people aren't talking about them in the level that they should be. Now, Kentucky, they played Tennessee. Tennessee won 28-18 at home. Rocky Top is rocking, and I'm telling you, this is the best team in the SEC right now. Tennessee is the best team in the SEC right now. You're like, George, what about that Arkansas loss? I mean, I gotta put an Alabama loss away for Georgia, and Alabama got 2 losses. I gotta put losses away for everybody. So I'm just pretending that Arkansas game didn't happen, and you know why? Because Nico Iamaleava, 28 for 38, 292 and a touchdown. He's playing better football. He's not missing as many throws as he was. And this Tennessee defense is suffocating. They haven't given up 20 points in a game. This is the best team in the SEC right now. Hard truth, they are playoff peaking. They are moving like this. Other teams are still, in the SEC, floating around, yo-yoing. This Tennessee team is the best team in the SEC. You can book it, write it down, remember it, take a picture. And remember, I'm the same person that told you that this Tennessee team was going to beat Bama and Georgia this year. I said they may not beat both, but they will for damn sure beat one of them. They already took care of the Alabama problem. And when they face Georgia very soon after this Mississippi State game, you know what's finna happen. Tennessee will win that football game. Carson Beck is going to throw him the ball like another 3 times, and people are going to be like, take Carson Beck out. Just telling you. Foreshadowing what's going to happen. All right, and Tennessee's a creep right now. People don't want to talk about them. They don't want to believe it, but they are here. The next creep, Indiana. Indiana got Curtis Rourke back. His first game back since his surgery, and the magic continues. 19 for 29, 263 yards, 4 touchdowns, absolutely balling. And in their 47-10 win over Michigan State, Michigan State jumped out 10-0. Indiana was like, come here. Get your old school whooping, brought it. Go get your own switch, man. I don't know what Kurt Senghetti is feeding these dudes. I don't. But he has them believing. He has them knowing that they are going to go out there and expecting to win. And this Ohio State game in a couple of weeks is going to be for all the marbles. All the marbles. They are going to, and Ohio State fans think that they are just going to run over them. Absolutely not, my friend. Absolutely not. Indiana, though, they got Michigan this upcoming week. Then they get a bye week before the Ohio State game. Man, look. Man, look. Ohio State doesn't have that luxury of a bye. They got Purdue, Northwestern, then they get Indiana and Michigan. And it's right before the Michigan game, so they are going to be looking past the Michigan. I'm sorry, they're going to be looking past Indiana. This could be a snake bite game. I'm telling you, because it is impossible for them to get up for Indiana the same way, despite it. And that game is in the shoe. And you know that Ohio State can be beat in the shoe. We've seen it happen. All right. SMU 48-25 over Pittsburgh. Kevin Jennings, another 300-yard game, 2 touchdowns. Broussard Smith, 23 for 161 and 2 touchdowns on the ground. This SMU team, nobody's talking about him. Go back and watch a game. Go back and watch an SMU game, and you will find out the truth about this team. This is a good football team and Rhett Lashley is doing a great job. And whoever sees them potentially in the playoff, you should be scared. Now, remember tomorrow, Monday, I will be doing a co-stream with Bleacher Report here on the YouTube channel. You'll be able to watch it on Twitter. You'll be able to watch it everywhere, but it will be co-streamed with Bleacher Report. We're doing a little joint there, so that'll be exciting. So make sure that you guys are tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. You do not want to miss it. It's going to be all about the college football playoff bracket, previewing it. That's going to happen on Tuesday. Another creep is Ole Miss. Ole Miss, 63-31 over Arkansas. Lord have mercy. I thought Arkansas was going to be able to keep this game within the 6 points. Damn it. They did not. Jackson Dart threw for 515, 6 touchdowns. But I will tell you, though, a problem, though. Ole Miss's defense gave up almost 500 yards to Arkansas despite this win. Don't kill the messenger. I'm just saying. I wanted to mention Texas Tech's win over Iowa State, 23-22. Because this spread, when I saw this spread, Iowa State was favored by 14 points. I wanted to mortgage my house. This didn't make no damn sense. There's nothing about Iowa State's offense. But people will sit here and tell you, though, oh, Iowa State, the Big 12, they can only get one team in. Listen, things can get very tricky very fast. There probably should be 3 teams from the SEC to get in, 4 from the Big 10. The ACC might get 2 depending on what happens in the ACC championship game if Miami doesn't win that one. And yeah, so it's going to get real tricky, and you're going to have some teams sitting on the outside looking in. And I promise you, committee, you better not do no BS like you did last year with Florida State. Logos, man, stop trying to shoehorn in the logos that you want in. Let you earn your way in. But you guys, I'm George Wrighster, and that is the college football recap for Week 10. Keep it locked. Back here tomorrow, all week on the Unafraid Show. Make sure that you like, subscribe, tell a friend, get notifications, and share. We almost at 20,000 subs. Subscribe, man. We got a big giveaway coming at 20,000 subs, too, because you guys are making this happen. Thanks. Peace out.